Strategy 3. Using analogies the right way. Researchers have studied a number of specific techniques that people use to solve problems, but analogy warrants special attention because of its potentially powerful applications to college instruction. Analogical reasoning can be defined as a process that allows us to solve one problem on the basis of another already solved problem. Applying strategies that work in one situation to a new situation is thought to be one of the key cognitive capacities of the human mind. Examples run the gambit from the mundane, a child using a band-aid to fix a hurt doll, to the sublime, business leader who uses military strategy to dominate a marketplace. Format of analogies. Analogies often take the format that A is like B, where A is an unknown abstract concept and B is something known, which is often something concrete. The unfamiliar concept is the target, and the familiar concept is the analog. In the analogy, an IP address is like a street address. The IP address is the target, and the street address is the analog. How to generate effective analogies. First, map the characteristics between the two domains and see if there are any sufficient relationships to make it work. Next, assess the differences between the target and the analog concepts and address the shortcomings of the analogy. And then finally, evaluate the new representation. So building a map like this, the example here I have is creativity is like fire. Building a map and describing each part of the analogy really helps you see exactly the similarities are between them. So here we have creativity, new idea, gathering ideas, finding inspiration, creating expression, and fire. We have a spark, gathering kindling, lighting the fire, roaring the flames. So you could say something like creativity is like a fire. Instead of gathering kindling, you're gathering ideas. And that makes a more coherent analogy. And it's easier to see the relationship between the two when it's mapped out like this. So, creating our analogies. Your task will be to create at least 2 analogies about something we have learned so far in this course and post them in the discussion forum. Have another look at the review quiz we sent out earlier if you need to refresh your memory on some of the things we've covered so far. Here is my example. Facilitating a discussion forum is like building a house. Everyone needs to see the blueprints to make sure their individual contributions fit with the bigger project. So I have picked something I learned in this course, facilitating a discussion forum, and compared it to something that's concrete, something that's familiar, something you can visualize, like building a house. So for our group, it was Ben who came up with the blueprints and mapped out exactly what we'd be doing, and it was much easier for me to be able to see what I needed to do to make sure my contributions were fitting the overall project. Some tips for success when you're thinking about your analogies. The similarity of the relationship between the domains in an analogy is important for making it work. And you can use the mapping technique to see the relationships between your analog and your target easier. Analogies based on familiar concepts are better understood. In my example, I picked building a house. Consider visualizing the familiar domain as concrete analogies work well. When you map target and analog domains, make sure the relationships are clear and unambiguous. The relations between the familiar and unfamiliar domains should form a cohesive conceptual structure. And the use of multiple analogies can help prevent misconceptions. So that's what we're going to be doing here, creating multiple analogies. Analogies work best when students actively work through multiple examples. So all of us are going to be contributing 2 examples of analogies based on what we've learned so far in facilitating e-learning. That will give us multiple examples. Analogies are powerful teaching tools, but they are easy for students to misinterpret or miss out on altogether. They work best when students actively work through multiple examples rather than just hearing 1 or 2, and when the instructor explicitly points out the correspondence between problems. So when you're commenting on your classmates' analogies, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be explicitly pointing out the correspondence between the 2 problems. Okay, so that is the activity for strategy number 3. I look forward to seeing your analogies and your comments in the discussion page.